New York City is seeing historically low crime numbers, but a closer look at the data shows a troubling trend in one borough. Newly released statistics show the Bronx accounts for about half of the city's homicides so far this year, even as murders and shootings are down citywide. Now, through last Sunday, the city had recorded 32 homicides, 16 of them happening in the Bronx. The borough also makes up nearly half of the city's shooting incidents and shooting victims. Joining us to break down these numbers right now, what's driving this trend, CBS News law enforcement contributor Richard Esposito, seen on your screen right there. Richard, good to see you. So citywide, crime is at historic lows. That's the good news. The Bronx, though, accounting for about half of the city's homicides so far this year. What does that tell us about what is happening in that borough?
So it's a very, very good question. Historically, the Bronx crime pattern has been higher than the rest of the city, 33% higher some years. And what you're seeing now, the first subway shooting and murder in the city occurred in the Bronx this year. There's been a variety of reasons: mental illness, road rage, and just the list of reasons goes on. So what's underlying it? Historically, the Bronx has been under-resourced in almost every area that the government is responsible for. Not just police. The Bronx Times, Schnepp's Media has been looking at this for months now. They've got a 12-part series, just taking apart all the issues of what they call, and Mayor Mandami has called, our forgotten borough.
So this 2024 report found that 40% of Bronx residents are being hit by multiple crises at the same time. You've got economic, health, housing, transit, compared to 32% citywide. So again, playing on what you just said, at what point does it stop being a crime problem, start being a resource problem for the borough?
Yeah, I mean, there's hospitals. They are among the worst in the state, statistically, on every level. There's also a language problem in the hospitals. You often find Hispanic people going into the hospitals and no one's there who can communicate with them. Transit in the Bronx really mostly goes north to south. And when you live in the borough, you can't get east to west. So if you live on the west side of the Bronx, getting to the east side, it's like an hour and a half. The transit issue is compounded because nearly 68% of the people in the Bronx must take transit. They don't have any other means. And very often their area is very underserved, whether it's buses, bus stops, subways. So what you're identifying, Chris, is exactly a historical failure to allocate enough resources for the borough. And this goes back, it's no one person to blame. If you remember, at one point, there was not a Cross Bronx Expressway, which cut the borough in two and split up families and housing. And you'll see a lot of crime and poverty on one side of that, some on the other.
Yeah, it seems like Staten Island always kind of laments about being the forgotten borough. But then when you look at the stats, you're like, man, the Bronx is really being ignored here. Just a couple more stats for people at home to hear. We know that the Bronx has lost over 250 police officers since 2023. That's nearly 1 in 3 residents living in poverty there right now. And the borough's consistently last in getting the resources that we have just discussed. So at what point does the mayor or do officials say, hey, look, we need to just drop as many resources as we can to try to level the playing field, at least a little, or at least make a dent? And who's responsible for delivering that?
As you know, the mayor is, the buck stops at City Hall, and it's stopped there for decades. But Mayor Mandami has said he's noticed. And so who's going to address the hospitals? Who's going to address food inequity? There aren't as many supermarkets in the Bronx. Who is going to look at, now, Commissioner Jessica Tisch, on the police side, she's acknowledged the Bronx has lost many cops. But she just has so many that she can put back up there. She's dividing the borough into 2 patrol boroughs like Brooklyn and Queens in an effort to structurally address the problem by having, you know, more police officers responsible for a smaller area of the Bronx. And that can have some impact, but nothing replaces she's going to put 250 police officers in, but 250 police officers have already been gone. So we're not making that dent.
Yeah. Just getting back to level, which probably, or as we can see and as we're reporting, obviously is not working. Richard, thank you again. Appreciate you shedding a little bit of light on this important topic that now obviously needs to be addressed sooner than later. We'll talk to you next week, if not sooner.